At the end of this street, the United Nations building, located on land donated by Rockefeller, completes this parade of famous buildings. Two of the world's leading architects, Le Corbusier and Niemeyer, designed the UN headquarters, built in the late 40s. Across from the UN building is the colossal Trump World Tower, with 72 floors of luxury apartments. We'll go back to Fifth Avenue, and this time we'll head north along the east side of Central Park, which is 4 kilometers long. The park covers 340 hectares, or 5% of the island. We can thank the foresight of New York's 19th century urban planners who set aside this enormous park in the heart of a city that was rapidly expanding in every direction. Overlooking Fifth Avenue is the Metropolitan, America's largest museum. It was founded at the end of the 19th century, mainly through the bequests and donations of wealthy citizens. The collections at the Metropolitan cover all historic periods and virtually all countries. The museum has an important Egyptian collection, including the spectacular reconstruction of the Temple of Dendur. The monument was saved from being submerged by the waters of Lake Nasser, created when the Aswan Dam was built. Located at the corner of 89th Street is the Guggenheim Museum, the world of Frank Lloyd Wright. 20th century painting masterpieces from around the world are exhibited alongside the inside ramp. The park is used by New Yorkers as a place to relax and have fun. Taking a walk in the park on a sunny day means enjoying non-stop music and sports. For a truly special breakfast or lunch, the Tavern on the Green is a must. This luxurious greenhouse restaurant has often been used as a film set in New York. After crossing the park, we come to a new great cultural hub of New York, Lincoln Center. The focal point of the complex is the plaza, with a fountain in the middle designed by Philip Johnson. There are 3 buildings around it: the Philharmonic, the New York State Theater, and lastly, the Metropolitan, one of the world's legendary opera houses. Behind the Philharmonic, there is another courtyard with a bronze group by Henry Moore, as well as the Repertory Theatre designed by Finnish architect Eero Saarinen. We'll leave Lincoln Center and take the subway north to Harlem, another famous district of Manhattan. New York is also the homeland of a lively Afro-American and Hispanic world. Harlem, which is the heart of this milieu, is at least as legendary as Times Square. The district, located north of Central Park, was originally built as a wealthy residential area. Since all the houses could not be sold, however, a few years later the decision was made to rent them to Afro-Americans. By the beginning of the 20th century, Harlem was a black neighborhood. During the 20s and 30s, Harlem became the homeland of jazz. Great musicians such as Duke Ellington, Lena Hall, and Josephine Baker debuted at places like the Apollo and the Cotton Club. After a long period of decline, Harlem is quickly becoming an attraction again and is now a fashionable neighborhood once more.
I'm singing, oh, I'm singing in New York. Oh,
at the northernmost end of the island, we come across an unexpected scene. The cloisters, the medieval section of the Metropolitan Museum. These are real French and Spanish cloisters that have been reconstructed stone by stone in this corner of America. Downtown starts at Washington Square. This is the area of a series of neighborhoods that are identified with the different ethnic groups that have historically lived there: Little Italy, the Lower East Side, and Chinatown.
freedom in my soul.
Space is at a premium in New York, and even the wide point of a tree-lined street becomes a precious basketball court, where skin color counts far less than playing skills.
Up in the sky.
Washington Square, the focal point of Greenwich Village, is famed for its extravagance. A bust of Garibaldi, Washington Arch, the presence of students from nearby New York University, people playing chess at little tables set up in the park. These are all signs of an open and multicultural world. Greenwich Village, the district of old 18th and 19th century New York, owes much of its charm to the stately little red brick houses lining shady streets. Starting in the early 20th century, the village became the favorite place for New York's bohemians, and these artists forged the reputation for genius and unconventional behavior that still reigns in the neighborhood. Rising housing costs have recently driven artists to seek studios and apartments in former industrial districts and abandoned warehouses south of the village. This led to New York's latest residential fad, the Soho area, the paradise of sophisticated renovation and lofts. Lately, artists have also been stepping aside to make room for new, richer invaders, namely fashion designers. Next to Soho is another one of the city's characteristic neighborhoods, Little Italy, which was once the exclusive domain of Italian immigrants. The signs of the Italian presence in the area are unmistakable, and they have gradually gained a somewhat exotic touch. Today, however, most of the population of Italian descent has moved to other districts in the metropolis, and Little Italy has become mainly a quaint and entertaining area. The Lower East Side also borders on Little Italy. This area, once populated exclusively by European Jews, is now an excellent place to taste delicious Balkan specialities. Chinatown, which is next to Little Italy, is a far more dynamic area that continues to expand. The first Chinese to reach New York in the 19th century were employed to build the Transcontinental Railroad. Today, picturesque and bustling Chinatown is its own little universe. Naturally, this is where you can find the best Chinese food in New York. After we leave Chinatown, we come to the City Hall Park, which houses City Hall. As we continue down Broadway, we come to Wall Street, and just beyond that is Battery Park, the southern tip of Manhattan. City Hall Park pragmatically coordinates New York's enormous variety of people, maintaining a surprising equilibrium among the different social and ethnic groups that comprise the hotbed of the metropolis. The start of the financial district is just a few blocks away. By day, the narrow streets around Wall Street are as crowded as a picturesque Middle Eastern bazaar, but by night they are totally deserted. This part of the city is the home of the New York Stock Exchange, founded in 1792 and still the most important one in the world. The headquarters of some of the world's leading banks are located in the immediate vicinity, including Chase Manhattan, with its monumental sculpture, 4 trees, in front of it. This sculpture, which is 14 meters high, is the work of Jean Dubuffet. Across from another recently constructed skyscraper is Isamu Noguchi's Red Cube. At the southern tip of the island, we come to luxuriant Battery Park, with an extraordinary view of the bay. As we move north along the Hudson River, we immediately come to the new buildings of the World Financial Center, set in the middle of Battery Park City. This new district houses 30,000 people. An extraordinary 38-meter-high greenhouse is set between the skyscrapers, and it is the magnificent venue for exhibits, fashion shows, and children's games. Every district offers a different playground, from the most sophisticated equipment in the richer areas to the slides in the former city car parks and the experiments of trash artists who recycle scrap metal to create artwork that can even be used by children. As we move up the island along the East River, we come to the only block in the financial district without skyscrapers. This is where the Francis Tavern